thanks again for joining us today for our success story that we're recording with Amber Hillis Parker this morning out of the Four Corners area, if I'm not mistaken. And so we're glad that you joined us. If you're watching and listening to this online, I want to thank Cecilia Pacheco, our program manager, for taking care of the technical stuff in the background. And if you want to reach out to any of us after the podcast is done, after the story is shared, there'll be contact information for UNM and Cecilia, and for our guest, Amber Hillis Parker, and for myself. That'll be posted at the end of the podcast. And so be aware that that's coming. But we're glad to be here this morning. It's still morning. And before we get started, I just want to share a little bit about the reason that we're doing these success stories as we carry out the work that we're doing as tribal liaisons and with the Tribal Entrepreneurship Enhancement Program at UNM. We're trying to make it rain a little bit more in terms of our economic rainforest in our native communities. And so we're recording these success stories for a number of different reasons. One of them is to provide encouragement for those out there who are engaged in their own business. Maybe they're starting their own business, and you need some encouragement along the way to know that it's possible to do it. And so it's always good to run with some folks who are doing it. And so we want to encourage you that way. The folks that we bring on board for these success stories are also examples to our communities of people who have been, at least to some degree, successful in their endeavors to start their business, to make an impact in the area of work that they have chosen to focus on. We have folks on our podcasts from a variety of different professions and vocations and industries. And so you might be interested to find someone in the same endeavor that you are. It's not just artists. It's not just big businesses that we have on board, but it's all kinds of different folks that provide us some good examples. One thing we also want to do is sort of help advertise for our guests and let the community know again that there are folks like Amber out there with their services that they offer, and you might want to take advantage. You may have a need for someone in this area of accounting and CPA and bookkeeping services. And so that's one of the reasons that we do these podcasts as well. We also want to make you aware of the tremendous number of other resources that are available for Native entrepreneurs within our state. There are a number of programs, different kinds of grants and loans and training courses, just all kinds of different opportunities to receive some help along the way. And very often it is free help. And so we want to make sure that you're aware that that is the case as well. We also want to help you to, as a listener, to maybe dream a little bit, think about the possibilities in your life. Maybe you've thought about starting your own business. Maybe you've thought about being an entrepreneur in some ways. Maybe you're already doing that, and you've just tackled it. But sometimes it still helps to do some dreaming, to do some thinking about the possibilities that are there for you. And so maybe these success stories can help you to do that. And then lastly, maybe we want to help you identify your next step. by listening. And certainly if that doesn't happen during the course of the success story and the podcast, reach out to us and have a conversation with us. But maybe just by listening, you can, in the process of thinking about your venture and your efforts, you can think about the next step that you need to take in your own journey. So, so that's some of why we do this. Okay. And I'm going to ask Amber to introduce herself this morning. Again, Amber Hillis Parker, a CPA and a business owner from in the Four Corners area. And she has been at this for a number of years now. And so I'm going to ask her to introduce herself a little bit, and then we'll dive in to ask her some other questions as well.
Thank you, Scott, and thank you for having me here today. Yat she Amber Hillis Parker Yenisha she Kiani Nishle Hanagatni e Bashachina Karine Edeshache Tutsoni de Chanela. Hello, everyone. I'm Amber Hillis Parker. I am of the Towering House people born for the one who walks around. I was born and raised on the Navajo Nation in the community of Fort Defiance. I'm the owner of Hillis Parker and Associates and her CPA, and we provide bookkeeping, accounting, and advisory services to entrepreneurs across the U.S.
Across the U.S. Isn't
Yes.
that neat?
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. And how long have you been in business?
We started in 2021, so we are new, but we are striving, and it's been a great ride so far.
And striving and growing,
Yes.
you're still adding. You continue as time goes on, as you were talking a little bit before we started the podcast, still adding staff as you need to. So there's some growth taking place. And so
Yeah.
that's great.
Yes, it's been great. We are currently in the process of hiring another employee. And we usually are working with our employees right now are part-time. So we work with a lot of moms that are, doing this as time that they have in their day, or if they're like accounting students, then we're looking at opportunities for them as well.
Okay, great, great. Well, I know another aspect of that is it's always encouraging to me. I know it happened with me when I had an earlier business. I was in the auto glass business, and within a matter of a few weeks, really, I was generating some income, and so it's an encouragement that you don't have to be striving at your business necessarily for years and years and years before you can actually start seeing some income come in from your business.
Oh, absolutely.
So good, good. Well, what inspired you to go down this this very glamorous path of being a CPA and an accountant, and then starting your own business on top of that?
Yeah, so to answer that question, I really have to go back several years ago. But I grew up, my dad was an entrepreneur. He had his business on the reservation. So he was a master electrician, had his business for about 13 years. Myself and my siblings would help him in his business. We'd pull wire, strip wire, we'd do whatever he needed us. And after a while, he had closed his business, and when I got a little bit older, I had asked him what had happened, and he had said that he wished that he had a good CPA on his side. So that was like my first introduction to entrepreneurship and business, and also with that, really unknown to me, I really didn't know what a CPA is. Most people really don't know what it is, what they do, but I remember at that young age really asking myself, what does a CPA do, and would I have been able to help my father? And so he was the first person to really plant that seed. But I think really seeing him work in his business and watching the news with him when I was little, I always knew that I wanted to be a businesswoman, but in what aspect I really didn't know. Um, I went to school at Fort Lewis, and I actually had the major of business administration. And part of that was we had to take an accounting class. So my professor had us play Monopoly, and I absolutely loved it. I understood we had to do Monopoly and produce financial statements, and it
Oh,
just
really?
resonated with me. Yeah, I loved how everything tied and everything had their place. And at the time, I was a single mom. So having a job after school was very important to me. So there was a club that came into our class to talk about accounting and finance professions. And I remember one of my uh, classmates was telling me that her brother had went into accounting and that he had a job right after school lined up. And so I changed my major to accounting. And by the time that I graduated, I had multiple offers. I accepted one. And so being able to provide was one of my priorities to be able to do once I finished school. And I knew that with accounting, I could basically have a job no matter where I went, and especially have a job after school. So I went into public accounting. That was like went into internal auditing and public accounting, was an auditor, and I would audit tribal governments. I would audit nonprofits and benefit plans. And public accounting was a very hard industry, but it taught me a lot. I loved it, but it's not really a place for a single parent. I was very fortunate for the firm
Oh,
that I worked with that they didn't make me travel as much. And majority of the time you see with public accounting is that you travel a lot. So I was very fortunate that they kept me close to home. And I kind of, from there really laid the foundation of my career. And I went into healthcare. I was controller for a healthcare company for several years. I briefly went into operations where I managed the biggest office across the US, or actually in New Mexico, the fifth largest
mm,
in the nation for them. And I went into charter schools, and then I went into mining, where we accounted for the cost to move a cubic foot of dirt. So I've had a range of different items
mm,
with my career, but really like the pivot point was I met my husband, and we got married, and we had a little girl, and I just wanted things to be different. My oldest daughter was in high school. I just had my little one. They're 15 years apart. Um, and I wanted to be there, for my daughter for the last few years, being present and being able to go to her volleyball games. And I didn't want to have an hour and a half commute and long hours away from home.
yeah,
Plus, I saw that there was like this opportunity in the community where the services or the talents that we have that we could provide to entrepreneurs. And so it's
mm,
just a combination of the right things happening and seeing the opportunity and analyzing the risk and just really stepping out in faith and starting the journey of Hillis Parker and Associates.
right, right. Well, that freedom and that flexibility can be really, really attractive. And of course, that doesn't mean we can just fritter away our time, but it does give us an opportunity to take that much more responsibility for our lives, and using the discipline in our lives. It can really be good. But another thing is that I'm glad you mentioned it. I think one of the things I've noticed or that I've seen is that within so many of our native communities, especially, but any small community, there are needs for services or skills that sometimes you have to reach out to a community that's hours away to tap into that. And of course, the internet nowadays has changed things to a degree, but we still have some of those internet challenges within our native communities. And so the more of our folks that can maybe catch a vision for starting their own business within their own community and servicing the people right there that they live with, it's a tremendous opportunity. When I started my glass business, I was in Gallup, and I had thoughts that, you know what, if I was in any smaller community, I remember one instance I had someone come from Farmington to replace the windshield in my car. And I don't know if there were other glass places. This was before I started my glass business. But there's just some tremendous opportunities there. So I got to go back to I've never heard of anybody creating a, what do you call it, a financial statement when you play Monopoly. Did that
Yes.
help you win the game better?
Actually, I think we lost, and it was like by like $100.
Okay, but
Yeah,
but it
so we,
did did it give you some insights to the game and to how you were doing?
you know what? I thought it would, but not really. I mean,
Mm, okay, shucks.
not really, but I actually kind of did some research to see if what we needed to do to win, but we weren't lucky
Right.
enough in rolling the dice.
Okay, yeah, there's that aspect of it too,
Yeah,
which is, it's a good point. In real life, it's not so much luck. It's the decisions that we make, the calculated decisions that we make based on good information a lot of times. And there's always a little bit of risk tolerance that's there sometimes when we make decisions as a business owner. Sometimes we make some mistakes along the way.
absolutely. Yeah,
I just made one recently that I'm still waiting to see if I'm going to have to pay the price for that. But that's part of the way things go. But we have some tremendous opportunities that come too. Now, your business is in Farmington, so is it technically on the reservation? I know sometimes there's checkerboard situations in our state and stuff.
yeah. No, so we would be off the reservation, but Navajo Nation is like maybe 30, if if 30 minutes from us. So we have a lot of clients actually that provide services on or around the Navajo Nation, and just not even there, but also like other tribal places as well. So we're off, but we service, a lot of our clients are either owned or operated by Indigenous people or serve, the Native American community in one capacity or another.
And did you find them once they found out that you were there? Did you find them saying, you know what, we want to try to do business with her?
Yeah, what's really interesting is, like I think anytime that anyone starts a business, it's, you're always worried if you're going to get clients or not. And of
Right.
course, that was a worry that I did have, but it's amazing. When I came out and communicated that I was starting my business, just the outpour of the community and friends and family and people I didn't even know that rallied behind me. And I'm going to get
Yeah.
emotional already. But I'm so grateful for that. And the people that have opened up doors for me and the people that have entrusted me. But it's really interesting when I really started meeting people when they started finding out about us. And a lot of what I've heard over the course of the years is that um, doing business with another Indigenous person is important to them because there are things that are unique to the way that we operate, the way that we handle business, the way our customs. And a lot of times, what we see is that when they did go to other people, it may not, they may have felt that they were talked down to, or there just wasn't the proper communication that needed to happen. And a lot of times, what we see too is that this is like their first introduction to business. They're learning it for the first time. They may not have, taken any type of business class. It's just self-taught, which is so empowering and so much strength of them, and it's just learning this other aspect of it, but having someone meet them with where they're at and being able to explain things in a way that is doesn't put them down but meets them where they're at so that they're able to move forward, and to give them the information that they need so that they're well equipped and that they can make the right decisions there. So I think it's just been a blessing to have people communicate about us. And I think that we also, provide excellent customer service to our clients. So we do get a lot of referrals by word of mouth. And also, when we look at statistics, Native American CPAs, when you look at all of the nation, and the statistic is a couple of years old, so maybe like 2020 statistics here, but Native American CPAs only account for 0.3% of CPAs. So we don't even make up 1% of the total population of CPAs. So we're kind of like unicorns. And to be able to have like the knowledge and be able to communicate in a way that's respectful, and to give them to start building that financial knowledge foundation so that they're able to make those decisions, is really where we look to empower our clients and the people that we work with.
Well, it sounds like you really are providing a service to business owners, to native small business owners who need that kind of expertise and that kind of education, if you will, along the way. And so that's awesome. Awesome. And again, sounds like a great industry opportunity for others, because I know in my own experience working with entrepreneurs over the last couple of years or so, there's not a lot of native entrepreneurs. I know when I was looking for one, I couldn't find one. And at least so they're few and far between. And I know there's schools out there that are interested. There's companies out there who are interested in having interns come in and work with them to help them get started and that kind of stuff. So some tremendous opportunities there.
Definitely.
So I'm curious, what about some of the stories um, behind your journey? Have there been some mile markers um, along your way? Maybe some challenges that you faced, or some successes that you've had, that you have a story or two that you might want to share with us?
Definitely. Kind of going back to what I had originally said when we meet entrepreneurs for the first time, they have made attempts to get a CPA or an accountant, and a lot of times, what's available are like the big accounting firms where they don't feel like they're really seen, or they may have had a situation where they were uncomfortable with that there. So a lot of times we meet individuals who are behind in their taxes because
Right.
they haven't done any of their financial statements, bookkeeping, accounting work. So we can come in and we can do a cleanup, catch up. If they have data, and they need it to be verified and corrected, we can go in and do that. So um, I think that's the beauty of what we do, is just alleviating that stress there when it comes to tax time, or
Yeah.
getting them compliant with New Mexico gross receipts tax or any other sales tax that we have to deal with, or they have financial statements, or even just, I love working with entrepreneurs when we have like data and we're able to clean it up and present it in a way that gives them the information to make the right decisions for their company. So a lot of times we'll come in and we'll break down like revenue by sources instead of just saying income. So we're able to help them start analyzing like what is their top sellers, right? And a lot of times in these discussions, once we have like their financial statements like up to date, fully reconciled, we can start having some of those deeper conversations where we're looking at, what direction is the business going in? Are they struggling with cash flow? Do they have like a strong cash flow, but they're wanting to make a business decision of buying a building or a vehicle or something like that, or getting them ready to obtain capital too is also a big item. So I think just when seeing how much we alleviate stress, and then when those the light bulbs start coming on, right? When we can like connect the dots and talk through a process and explain why it's important. And then just them feeling prepared when it comes to year end and they're not having anxiety. And, I think those are some of like the best stories that I have, is just, the relief that I feel that they show, or they communicate. And then from my standpoint, I love like cleaning up books and then just seeing like beautiful financial statements that are like just properly done. I think it's so powerful when you have financial statements that can tell you the story of your business, and it gives them the information they need to make the right decisions. And that alone is just amazing. There's just so many different things, but I mean, I think those are like the success stories, getting people compliant, whether that's like, financial statements, cleanups, audits, different items like that. Um, for your other question, like any hurdles that we've had.
Let me interject
Oh
real
yeah.
quickly
Mhm.
before you get to that part. I was just going to say there's some folks that are listening that when you say you love cleaning things up, that, I know that a lot of times finances in general can be a challenge to keep straight, just in general. But with small business owners and whatnot, I know sometimes it's a challenge to be organized, to learn how to be organized in those kind of ways. And so to have someone to come and be a part of their team and help them with that and take that load off of them. I know one of the things as an entrepreneur that I'm um, exploring more is sort of expanding my team so that there's other people helping with some of these things that I don't always have time to give attention to, or it does, there's some stress involved in terms of the workload because I've got to take care of this or that, but I should have been doing this or that. And so I think some of our listeners, would be happy to give you a call to help them uh, sort of clean up their life in
Yeah.
that way. But
And as entrepreneurs, when you first start, you're everything. You're your HR, your IT, you're the bookkeeper, your sales, you're all this. And a lot of times, what's focused on is, making the sales, producing the product, providing the service, and everything else is kind of put on the side, on the back burner. In order to like generate that revenue. And then usually, when it comes to tax time, then it comes to the front burner, and then it's like panic time. And at some point in time, like we have to cover everything. Like my first, I think like 6 months, I did everything with the business, and it was very stressful, but it was a challenge that I loved. Like I love to, how do I do this now and how do I do that?
yeah.
But when they're in a place where they can start hiring people, like a bookkeeper is like the best place to put your money, like, and the sooner the better. And, some bookkeepers can just come in and set up your QuickBooks and and teach you how to do certain things. And for entrepreneurs that are just starting out, like that is like probably like the best money that you can start doing. And there's so many different programs out there that provide trainings on, what are the basic things to do. But it is hard trying to navigate everything, keep everything organized. And usually, if you start working with a bookkeeper, they can start helping you set up processes so that, when it comes to like hiring someone full time, they can do a catch up and you have all your data there. Or, tax time is not as stressful as it needs to be.
Right. When you have the right records, then when it's time to tell somebody else certain information, it's much easier to find that number, if you will.
Absolutely.
So that's great. Now you were going to talk about some of the hardships, I think.
Yeah. So I think when I look back, it's always scary to kind of go out on your own. Even though I had years of experience in this industry, you're always going to struggle with like doubt, like imposter syndrome, right? I'm a
Yeah.
CPA, but, I'm doubting my ability to do this. And, I meet other, bookkeepers who, struggle with the same thing. And I'm like, I'm a CPA and I shouldn't deal with this, but I think every single entrepreneur deals with imposter syndrome.
Oh yeah.
And that was just something, it's you have to walk through it as gracefully as you can. I was very fortunate to have my husband who's like has management experience and operations experience. So, I really went to him for a lot of like advice and feedback. I've also hired people to help me implement certain things or to learn certain things. I purchased programs. One of the big benefits that I did was like start a mastermind where I have other people that are doing something similar to me, and we can talk through a process, we can talk through an issue, and just seeing what resources are out there. There's so many resources that they can tap into that are free that you can just go to and learn, how to market, how to do this, how to do that. I mean, and then, there's always YouTube, but I think imposter syndrome is something that everyone goes through. And I feel that it's only there because you've never seen something before. But once you work through it, then you know it, right? Um, and I always kind of take the approach of like, it's like jumping into the water and learning how to swim, right? But then you figure out like, oh, the water's not that deep, and you stand up and you're like, oh, okay, this is fine. And then you go
Yeah.
along and then something else comes up and you're like, oh, I never handled this before. And then you go through it and go right along.
Yeah. 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 That whole thing of building confidence. And again, sometimes it's learning to do some things ourselves, and sometimes it's giving ourselves the freedom to bring somebody else on the team who has that as a strength, so that you don't have to
Absolutely.
try to be all things to all people all the time.
Yeah,
Um, and so that's great. That's great. We have challenges, that's for sure. But
abso-
you know what? When I've worked regular jobs, so to speak, as well, I've had challenges there too.
oh yeah, definitely.
And so it's just a matter of what I'm willing, whether I'm willing to rise to the occasion of that particular challenge. And again,
Absolutely.
with all the support that's available for us, it's really possible for us to be successful and to be everything in terms of the person that we need to be. So um there's other questions here I can ask. Let me just um um so okay, so um one of the reasons we go into business is to support ourselves and our family financially. Okay. So how long did it start? long did it take for you to be able to start drawing some income for yourself, for maybe receive some health benefits or some of those kind of perks, if you will. Some of those, I mean, they're not just perks, they're necessities. Maybe even partners or other employees. How long did that take before that kind of momentum started to take place?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So really our first year in business was really to get like footing, right? To understand, to really build processes and procedures. We did hire like two part-time people in our first year. Um, and we implemented like our 401k the first year. Um,
Wow.
and I did take like a small salary like the first year, but very small. But what I really invested in was like educational items for me. So like hiring people to help me with the process or procedures, or buying trainings that's going to help me with some sort of aspect of the business. So really
Mhm.
like the first year really went into like building the business. Like what did I need to do in order for this to be like a smooth running business? What softwares did I need to get training on, different things like that. So like the first year was really meant for that. I did draw, the first year I was like an LLC. I did draw some, did some draws, but really just went into like paying the employees and covering software, different things like that. And then the second year, we transitioned to an S Corp. So now I'm on payroll and our employees are on payroll and different items like that. So
Mhm.
um, I think that we had like a really good business plan, and that's something that we go back to. And I really encourage like our clients and other business owners to like have a really solid business plan, because there's going to be so many things that jump up in like your first years of business, where if you're not focused and you don't know the path you're going on, you're going to easily veer off, right? But if you have your business plan and you know the direction you're going, that's what you're always going to come back to, right? Is this like the plan? I mean, and things will change. And so maybe you update your business plan, or you might try out something for a little bit and see that whether it is or not. But we really had the position of, the first year we're going to, you know, reinvest in the business. We're going to hire the right people. We're going to get the right softwares. We're going to get the right processes, procedures. And we're really going to like build out the business so that when it comes to growth that we can handle it, and we're not
Right.
growing so fast and not providing excellent customer service. So that's really what the focus was. And then that second year, we really started kind of reaping the benefits of, putting me on salary and going from
Right.
there.
Right. So I'm hearing you talk about being very intentional about what you're doing and having that clear um, path defined by your business plan that really can help, because and it can help not having to make decisions over and over and over again, you know, because that takes time and energy
Hmm.
to have to sort of make decisions about this or that, or or sometimes I've experienced the had experiences where I come to the place where I'm making a decision on something that I made a decision about several months or even years earlier, but I drifted or I didn't stay intentional about it. So I find myself making that decision again, coming back to that to that ground zero, if you will. When if I'd have kept my eye on the ball in the first place, I wouldn't have had to do that. so
Definitely.
so that's great, great. Well, we'll close this off by asking this question about your dream for your business. Um, what's your dream? Who do you maybe most want to help through your profession? And I think the second question is, if that were the case, you'd probably It sounds like you still love your work, but it's maybe you'd even love it even more if you were at that point.
Yeah, definitely. So when I really think about the work that we do and, bookkeepers, accountants, CPAs, I really feel that when it comes to this profession that we're like the referee. We bring such a valuable aspect to any business that's needed and should be there. But the community that we serve, majority of our clients are either Native American owned or provide a service or product to Native Americans. When I think about, my father and the other entrepreneurs, indigenous entrepreneurs, um, we have such an ability to level the playing field, right? When individuals are going against, big corporations that have like, some of, what the best people money can buy, right?
Mm,
We can come in and provide a service and level that playing field, bring them up, give them the information, start building that financial foundation. Um, that's what I really see for the business is to not only, help entrepreneurs and give them the ability to make good financial decisions so that they have longevity in their business and that their business ends how they want it to be, whether that's selling or whether that's,
that's right.
passing it to another person, or it might just be something that, they slowly want to transition out. I want our entrepreneurs to have the ability to have that foresight and things in place and the ability to make decisions so that however their business continues or however long it's on their terms. But also with that, I know that we're a small firm that's building, and I just don't want services to stop with us, right? If we get to capacity, I don't want services to stop with us. And I think it's so important that we really, in the position of the business and the firm, is to really help generate the next wave of accounting professionals, whether that's
Mhm.
bookkeepers, accountants, CPAs. Like, I would love to implement some sort of training program where we get people that are on reservations that may not have, opportunities coming their way. There may be issues related to like childcare or elder care or transportation. And, how we do business is we do business remotely. And to be able to provide a skill set to, um, someone living on reservation lands that they can go and make this as big or as small as they want. As a bookkeeper, you can you can start your own bookkeeping business as well. And it's such a need. And if people are trained the right way, if bookkeepers are trained the right way, it's so powerful. And it's just the skill set that if we can start building the people that can communicate and start building this into our entrepreneurs, it's only going to help the community. And, and I just don't want to stop at like bookkeepers, but like give, newly college people, the ability to,
Yeah.
work with the firm, work under a CPA, and, ultimately I would love to see that we have more Native American CPAs because it's so needed and it's such a blessing to be able to be in the profession where I'm able to provide for my family, I'm able to be a mom, I'm able to, clock in, clock out when I need to, rearrange my schedule when it needs to happen. And um, I think that there's a lot of things when it comes to like accounting. It's not this glamorous, fun, career path. Most people think of, a CPA or an accountant as an older, Anglo gentleman with a visor on, right? But I think that like that stereotype needs to be challenged.
Mm.
And I feel that what seeing being the face of the business has really brought a different perspective of what accounting is. And I think that when, people that are non-native really look into the business and they see that it's a young Native American woman, it challenges what that stereotype is. And, I would love to like help generate the next wave of accounting professionals. I would love to see in my lifetime the percentage of Native American CPAs go up.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's the dream there. But also, how the business ends, I've thought about this. I have two girls. Um, I'm not going to put any pressure on whether or not they come and take on the business. I wouldn't be opposed to gifting it to an employee that has, shows that the same commitment to the community and to the profession. So and I'm open to selling too. So right now I think
yeah.
just really focusing on um our clients and just really encouraging like the next wave of accounting professionals, because it's whether it's bookkeeping or becoming a CPA, it's such a viable career and powerful and giving. And we need more people in this profession to be able to help entrepreneurs. So
Well, that's good. I'm so glad that you said that. I think it can apply to any number of other professions as
absolutely,
well.
yeah,
The more people we have that are seeing the possibilities and going down that path, if that's what our Creator has in store for us, then it's just going to be better for them and for everybody around us. Um, and so exciting, so exciting to hear about what you're doing. And funny for me to say that as I'm talking to an accountant, right? It's exciting, but it's good. It's good. It's all positive and it's good. And so thank you for being with us,
absolutely.
sharing your story. And thanks to UNM, of course, for their joining the work of helping Native entrepreneurs as well. And hope that as you've seen this video and listened to it, that it's been helpful. Again, reach out to us if you need to, and I'm sure you probably do. Based on my experience, most of our entrepreneurs would be better off with a little bit more help rather than less help. And so reach out to us and let us connect you with folks that can help you maybe even better than we can. But we'd love to hear from you. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Scott.
All right. Bye
All
bye.
right.